So I'm just going to read this article verbatim. The 10 dumbest fan bases in America. Number 2, the Kentucky Wildcats. This is posted by Clay Travis. Outkick the coverage, foxsports.com. It doesn't have a date, but I don't know. For some reason, it's feeling like it was this year because of the championship. So let's go on, right? I'm looking for a date here, but I'm not seeing a date. Okay, so the dumbest fan bases in America. Number 2, the Kentucky Wildcats. So there is somebody dumber. There is somebody even worse. What would happen if you took the worst parts of the Midwest and combined it with the worst parts of the South? The worst parts of the Midwest and the worst parts of the South. Well, you'd have the state of Kentucky. Kentucky is the chin-strap, bearded white guy in the oversized jean shorts and high-top tennis shoes who rolls up to your tailgate and says, "Yo, where are the bitches at?" Not surprisingly, the bitches are never with him. And who do the vast majority of dumb Kentuckians root for? Well, Kentucky's basketball team, of course. Kentucky basketball fans are the dumbest basketball fans in the country, and there isn't a close second. It said it was number 2, so I don't know what this Clay man, I think he needs to get some consistency with him, Clay Travis. And Clay Travis, that sounds like a Kentuckian. That's 2 first names. Hey, Clay Travis. Hey, Billy Bob. Okay, so, intelligent Kentucky basketball fans, and there are at least a handful of intelligent Kentucky basketball fans, solemnly acknowledge this fact. While every other Southern school is obsessed with football, Kentucky, forever unable to compete in football, adopted basketball as its chosen sport. And that doesn't stop Kentucky basketball fans. So since we suck at football, we've picked basketball. That doesn't stop Kentucky basketball fans from choosing other football teams to root for either. Kentucky basketball fans will root for Ohio State, Tennessee, even of late. And this fan has to be the worst on earth, Alabama, for football. There is no worse human being on earth than a Kentucky basketball fan and an Alabama football fan. Have you no shame, Wildcat fans? Of course not. The man they named their arena after, Adolph Rupp, actually got the NCAA death penalty for a year. What can you say? Cheating is in the Wildcat fan DNA, right down to its present-day savior, John Calipari. Now, John Calipari is the only man alive who has twice had NCAA Final Fours stricken from his record. When he coached at Memphis, Kentucky fans hated him, and they called him a cheating liar. The moment the Wildcats hired him, he became a saint who was unfairly maligned by everybody. Make no mistake about it, Kentucky is a very dumb state. But unlike other dumb states, there's no real dilution of the stupid when it comes to who to root for in the state of Kentucky. There are no pro sports franchises in the state, siphoning off a few idiots, and Louisville is a substantial minority fan base when it comes to rooting interest in the state. If you root for Louisville, you either live in Louisville or you went to the school. If you root for Kentucky, you probably failed the GED twice. What's the dumbest stereotypical Kentucky fan like in his element? Well, he lives in a mini trailer behind his mom and dad's actual trailer. The trailer is made to be pulled behind a truck, but there are no cement blocks to hold it up when it's not attached to the truck. So when you enter the house, you have to walk uphill into the back. The only furniture is a bed, which is constantly sliding down towards the door. Inside the trailer, there is one poster, a faded Rick Pitino Kentucky Wildcats schedule from 1992 that is affixed to the ceiling above where the bed is supposed to be. Occasionally, he has pretend conversations with Rick Pitino after he's had too much to drink, but he's ashamed of this fact and only admitted it to his second wife once, and damned if that bitch didn't use it to keep custody of their Labrador retriever named Nazar. He has worn a Jeff Shepard jersey to 4 consecutive weddings, only 3 of which were his own. He has 3 wives. His 3 wives have had 6 children while married to him, but he has failed to be the father 5 different times when tested for child support. The 6th child was brown. They didn't test him to see if he was the father. Secretly, he's hoping that Tiffany, with an E, Tiffany, and yes, that's how you actually spell it, wasn't lying when she told him that Tony Delk was the baby daddy. But he kinds of doubt that Tony Delk hangs out at the Frankfurt Ruby Tuesday. Although, come to think of it, that kid really didn't have a neck either. When his first wife, Melody, she pronounced it Melody instead of Melody, Mellow D-I-E instead of Mellow D-E-E, which he always thought was kind of creepy. Left him on Halloween night while she was still dressed in her slutty Walter McCarty costume. She said, "God damn you all to hell. You don't even live in the suburbs of Frankfurt. Frankfurt is 45 minutes from here." And that made him kind of sad because Frankfurt is a badass town. You know who is from Frankfurt? Johnny fucking Depp. I thought he was from Owensboro. Anyways, Johnny fucking Depp. Johnny fucking Depp could have been born anywhere in the world, and he was born in Frankfurt. So there. He actually lives in between Paris and Frankfurt in a town without a name. In addition to Kentucky basketball, Johnny Depp being from Frankfurt and what Rick Pitino looks like shirtless, he is proud of other unexpected things. For instance, he regularly praises the cave systems of Kentucky when he calls in to talk Wildcat basketball. He's been to Mammoth Cave 42 consecutive years, and he's got a tattoo of Mammoth Cave on his right arm. Left arm tattoo, a picture of Rick Pitino, of course. That one I have a problem with. I feel like UK fans think of Rick Pitino as a traitor. They can't stand him, okay? Because he's with Louisville, and that's you clearly, even though you're in the state, you're a traitor. The only time he leaves the state is for Kentucky basketball games in Nashville or Atlanta. Last year, he made $12,462 working part-time at Walgreens before taxes and spent $4,828 on SEC tourney and NCAA basketball tickets. He owns 12 different versions of the UK 2K t-shirts, and he thinks whoever came up with the connection between UK and 2K is a genius. He doesn't have a television in his trailer, so he has to watch UK games in his parents' trailer. When he knocked on the trailer door late to watch a game, late night game from Hawaii, his dad once showed up at the door completely naked, holding a shotgun. "You crazy knocking on a man's trailer door this late at night? It's so dark out here, I thought you were Tony Delk," his dad said. "Wait, Dad, has Tony Delk really been coming around here?" "Never mind," his dad said. Then his dad watched the entire Kentucky game with him naked while cleaning his shotgun. Last year he failed the GED for the 4th time, but he's planning on a 5th try. Why? Because Rick Pitino tells him he can do it late at night when they talk to each other. C-A-T-S, C-A-T-S, C-A. The only thing, he pretty much nailed it, right? If you live in Kentucky, yeah, that's, go ahead. Oh, don't be pointing out or stereotypes. That's like racist or something, Just because it's true don't mean you're allowed to do it. Well, if it's true, that means you are allowed to do it. And Rick Pitino is not a UK fan. UK fans don't have Rick Pitino. They don't dream of Rick Pitino no more. Just like with Calipari, they hated Calipari, when he was with, I guess, Memphis and beat UK. Called him a lying cheater, but as soon as they got him, then they're like, "Oh my God, it's the happiest day of my life. It's the happiest day of my..." And so Rick Pitino, the same thing when he left. It was like they almost had a heart attack. They were like, "What?" And then he went to Louisville, right? So not all UK fans are racist, but all racists are UK fans, and it's actually very ironic since it's mostly black folks that are playing in the UK games, and none of them are from Kentucky. None of the players are from Kentucky, U of L or UK. Maybe one or two, but they're usually bench warmers. And so it doesn't make any sense. We get all these foreigners into our state, and then all these rabid fans are cheering for all these foreigners. And, if we actually cared about our state and ourselves, we would elevate our own. And we would have professional teams here so that we could retain the good basketball talent. We learn all these new names every year. We get excited that we're going to do it, go all the way this year. And then we just let them go, right? Jamal Mashburn, right? He was, I don't know, went with the Mavericks or something. But why not keep the talent here actually in the state? But yeah, he pretty much nailed it. Rick Pitino's not talking to him, but you get the point. Kentucky fans are backwards and stupid, right? And they're assholes. That's another big thing. They are such fucking pricks. They think they're so fucking smart, and everybody else is so stupid, and it's irrational. I mean, I can get into a nice, hey, yeah, U of L is going to do it, but I realize that it's irrational. It makes no difference who actually wins a fucking game or not. It matters way more who becomes our governor, who becomes our treasurer, who becomes our secretary, And these are competitive races too, so why would we not get into those type of competitions? And that requires too much thinking, and it also requires us to, actually care about our state, which we don't. This is all distraction. It's like the gladiators in the arena just to make us look at something else. So it says number 2. I'm going to see if I can see what the number 1 was, because it says by far it's the worst, and then it says it's number 2. So I'm not for sure. It doesn't say Ohio State Buckeyes is number 3. So he's kind of stupid if he thinks number 2 is number 1. Number 2 is not number 1, Clay Travis. While I don't, I'm going to click on Ohio State number 3 and see if it actually gives me like a different number 1. Because it reminds me of Mississippi. Kentucky's got number 1 in pollution, poverty, poor health, number 1 for cancer, number 1 for child deaths and child abuse cases, number 1 for mental health illnesses, and but Mississippi is worse. So, even though, and we have a $40,000 median income, so not all of us are dirt fucking poor, barely, eking by. There's some of them are doing A-okay. But you should read this because he's actually talking about, the Tennessee Volunteers, Dallas Cowboys, Arizona Razorbacks, Pittsburgh Steelers, West Virginia Mountaineers. I am not seeing now he's cut out the 1 and 2 rankings. So who is the number 1? Who's the number 1? Because it says it's number 2, but then he says by far it's the number 1. So it's almost like, do you know what you're talking about? I'm not going to waste your all's time too much here. But UK basketball fans are they're pricks, they're assholes. They think they're so goddamn smart. And you're rooting for a multi-million-dollar team, which you have, you buy a couple t-shirts and say rah, 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 get drunk, and you're sitting there watching the TV, and then you actually, if your team wins, you're like, oh, I'm such a great, I feel so good. I feel so good. Yeah, I'm not finding it. So if I find out who the number 1 team actually is, I'll get back to you. But anyways, Clay Travis, funny ass article, man. I enjoyed it.